Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Baruti Kafele. A highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Baruti Kafele.
And, woo, that's an echo, man. We are live. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to week 290 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in here this morning. Hey, y'all, by the way, as you check in, I'm in Virginia, man. I'm in Richmond at Virginia Union University. They gave me this room by myself. I just finished keynoting, man. I'm still sweating, but we good, man. We good. Let's see. We got Mona Obamolak in the building down in Orlando, Florida. We got Yolanda McKinney down in Texas. AP Patrick Lawrence is in Connecticut. Nadira Coley, Newark, New Jersey. Constance Sherrod in Pearl, Mississippi. Arlette Johnson is in Connecticut. We got Dr. Robin Snowden. She said Harambe, Fresno, California. We got Grace Castaneda in Kyle, Texas. Dominique, where we at? Dominique Late or Lape? I think it's Lape, who's also in Kyle, Texas. We got where we at? We got Dr. Sonia Matthew, National Board Certified Teacher, is in the building down in Maryland. We got Leslie Akintunde, Sterling, Virginia. Lysandra Brackens, North Carolina. Rodney Richardson, Hampton, Virginia. All my Virginia peeps. Takesha High, Virginia. Ronald Pugh is in Cedar Hill, Texas. Marsha Poe is in San Diego, California. Principal Otis Kitchen II is in Tampa, Florida. Where we at? We got Chancellor Davis in Las Vegas, Nevada. Stacy Joy, Los Angeles, California. Dr. Rella Hicks is in Augusta, Georgia. John Herricks is in Denton, Texas. David Bell, Benton Harbor, Michigan. Tony McClenny, Battle Creek, Michigan. Dot McKeever Jeter, retired Principal Dot McKeever Jeter, Calumet City, Illinois. And as we always say, Dot, just over and over, we're going to keep saying it. Thank you, and thank you for being that important component to the work that the Fantastic Four does. Edwin Garcia is in the building. Saw him on PGP podcast the other day. I got you lined up, man. I just got to reach out to you and get you scheduled. But you in. We got Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu, Tulsa, Oklahoma. MPA Jaguars, Josh Tovar in the building. And speaking of MPA Jaguar, the Fantastic Four, y'all. Every Saturday morning, starting at 10 o'clock, Facebook Live, Sean Hurt, turnaround principal, followed by Create and Educate. I missed them both, man, because I was keynoting, but Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor, followed by the AP and New Principals Academy. I'm here. And then Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, PGP podcast, Josh Tovar, Dr. Madi Moreno. Let me do a few more of these shout outs and then we're going to get it going. Janine Lavoy, Animate. I messed that up. I know it. You in Connecticut. There's Janine Separano Wilkins out there in Alaska, right? Anchorage, Alaska. There's Dr. Sheikah Houston. I see you. I got to share that video later on, Doc. You and Sean, I'll get to it. It's been a busy 2 days, man. Baltimore and now here. We got Timeless Taylor. Good morning to you. Jacqueline Harriet, Nova Scotia. Wow. Hey, Jacqueline, good to see you. Good to see you. Carmen Canales, Alexandria, Virginia. I see the queen out of this castle, man. She's my wife's in Charlotte. While she's in Charlotte, I'm here. in Richmond, Virginia. She said, "Oh, Echo, yeah, man. LOL. Hey, honey, Bree and Ace said hi. Yeah, let me put on this earpiece, man. Maybe this might help with this echo. Y'all can let me know, and then I'm gonna wrap it up so we can get going. But while I'm putting this on, y'all hit that share button for me. Hit that retweet, hit that repost, tag somebody, text somebody, let them know. Hit that like button as well. Hit them Facebook leadership groups up. Let them know we are here. We are here. That regardless of where I am in the world, regardless of where I am on the planet, the AP and New Principals Academy will carry forth live, right? How we sounding, man? Somebody holler at me. Is it any better? With the earplug on, holler at me, put it in the chat. Is it any better? Oh, Vanessa Zeskin said it's better. There you go. AP Patrick Lawrence said it sounds much better. So I appreciate that, man. So so we gonna wear this for this one. So look here, y'all. I got the three big time guests on today. So let me hurry up. Oh, Dana Williams said no echo. Dana Trene said, okay, all right, okay, y'all. Edwin said less echo. So I guess it depends on who's listening, right? On depends on whose device. But let me close out the shout outs and say to everybody formally now, good morning, greetings, welcome to week 290 of the AP and New Principals Academy. I should say 290 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Hey, man, I ain't gonna ask y'all how you doing. He said, you've been saying it every week though. By you saying I'm not gonna ask you how you doing, you're asking us how we're doing. You know that, right? I know. I just need to deviate. I just need to veer away from it entirely, right? I'm trying to keep the politics out of here, man. Even though education is a political act, right? But anyway, but I do have my questions. What were your wins last week, somebody? What were your wins last week? Put those in the chat for me, man. I read this stuff later on, man. I sit around, man. Like I got a flight tonight, so I'm just gonna sit around and I'm just gonna read the chat, right? So just how was last week? What were your wins? I know you had a win, right? I know you had multiple wins. But then what will you do next week that takes your leadership to new heights, right? What will you do next week that takes your leadership to new heights? Oh, Marietta, I don't know why I thought you didn't make it down there. Yeah, well, I'm glad you got back, right? I'm glad you got back, right? I'll reach out to you. So, but again, what were your wins, and what will you do next week to take your game to another level? That's important. Let me get through my rundown. First, my shout outs. Shout out to MBK, My Brother's Keeper, New York, speaker training. Man, I love those sessions, man. Every year they see it not robbery to bring me back and train those My Brother's Keeper fellows, these seniors who have to give a speech. I train them in oratory. I train them in public speaking, but I even go as far as to train them in the business of public speaking. They don't necessarily need that, but I do. But then we just talk life. Man, we on for 2 90-minute sessions, and I get to just talk to these young men. It's a good thing. So under the leadership of Dr. Anael Austin, who's been a guest on this platform. So shout out to MBK, My Brother's Keeper, New York, which is the biggest chapter of My Brother's Keeper in America. The state of New York pumps a lot of money into that program, millions of dollars into that program in order to keep it afloat. So I've been affiliated with it from the very beginning, and I'm sure that relationship is not going to end. Secondly, shout out to Sandalwood Elementary School in Baltimore County in Maryland. I was with them yesterday with the entire staff, and we had a great time, man. Just dropping that knowledge, dropping that wisdom from all these years of doing this work. So shout out to them. If anybody from Sandalwood is on, great day yesterday. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And then shout out to Virginia Union University, which is where I am right now. Just finished doing a keynote. We're going to do a fireside chat when we finished today's session. So I'm here for the day. And just, shout out to Dr. Terrell Strayhorn for bringing me out here. it was, I had a good time. They had some students here, some education majors, some teachers, some folks who are going to be teachers very soon. So y'all know I had to holler at them. And when I say holler, I mean, I really hollered, right? Like it got really loud, right? You know, that's just my passion, my fire coming out. They knew it was all love. I mean, nothing negative, man. I just, you know, I'm talking to future teachers, man. I gotta bring the fire, you know. So that's how we had to bring it, right? That's how we had to bring it, right? So, real quick, y'all, and then I'm gonna get to my monologue. Where we at? You know, I don't go no week without sharing this with you. So if you don't have this, I don't know what you're waiting for. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? I've written 14 books. That promo I do in the beginning says 13 because it's old. I keep it on there because I just like it, right? But 14, and with another one in the chamber, right? So it's 15 is coming as soon as I give it to my publisher, ASCD. I haven't given it to them yet. I'm sitting on it for a little bit because I'm riding this one out. But if you don't have your copy, what are you waiting for, right? It's the most important book I've ever written. I just can't imagine an administrator not benefiting from this book. So if you don't have it, please get yourself a copy. What is my value instructionally? In fact, administrators get it, superintendents out there, assistant superintendents out there, get it for everybody, right? All the administrators, all the aspiring leaders. It's a book that they should have in their hands, right? All right, welcome to the first timers. But if this is in fact your first time, that means you've missed 289 sessions. But the beauty is, you can see them because they're all on YouTube, right? Just go to YouTube, AP and New Principals Academy. AP and New Principals Academy. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the notification bell, and you'll always be informed when I go live. You know, last week, y'all know I turned 65 a couple of weeks ago. So I'm learning how to play hard a little bit. I ain't been playing hard. I've been working hard, but I ain't been playing hard. So I bought like a little season ticket plan to go see the Knicks. So I'm gonna be at the Garden like quite a few games this year. I ain't get the full season. That's too much basketball for me, but I'll be in the building. But you know, when I was sitting there and just looking at the 20,000 seats and all the people was every Knicks game is sold out. I said, man, I got 24,000 subscribers on the channel, as you've heard me say before, 24,600 subscribers. That means if we took all the subscribers to the AP New Principals Academy to a Knicks game at the Garden, world famous Madison Square Garden, 4,600 of them gonna have to wait outside. That's how many people we got following this academy, man. They had to wait outside, man. They had to put the game on closed circuit so they could watch it out there, or they got to watch it on their phone, right? I forgot it is 2025. So they go watch it on the phone, right? They don't have to do closed circuit no more, right? So so that's that. Let me get to this monologue right quick. Matter of fact, let me share with you what I'm wearing. You know, always Negro League, always. Every now and then a major league shirt, but it's usually some dynamic African American player. But this shirt, man, this is a special one right here. Birmingham Black Barons. Let me tell you why it's special. It's special because it was because of the team itself, a Negro League team. But let me tell you who wore this jersey. I'm not going to get up and show you the number. You just take my word for it. I'm wearing number 8, right? This is the jersey, the replica that Willie Mays, y'all know Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid. Willie Mays, my favorite baseball player to ever live, wore this jersey, number 8, when he was 17 years old. 17, this man played professional baseball in the Negro Leagues and was still in high school. So he would go to school, get his studies in, and then come out and play for the Birmingham Black Barons. And based on his play with Birmingham in 1948, he went on, became a major league player the very next year, right? New York Giants and then the San Francisco Giants when they moved to San Francisco. So just a little bit more history. I feel like, Willie Mays is one of the leading home run hitters in the history of baseball. So, I feel like Willie right now, man. We getting ready to hit some home runs out of here, right? So let's go. Let me go to my monologue. I'll keep it short because I got 3 powerhouse guests. My monologue topic today: setbacks are an inevitable part of your leadership life. Once again, setbacks are an inevitable part of your leadership life. What am I saying? Let me share something with y'all. I ain't gonna get into the specifics, but I will share this with you. I had a setback this week. I had a setback. It brought me, like I was here, it brought me down a little bit, right? I kept telling my wife, I said, I'm not myself, right? I'm not happy, right? I had a setback. And you know, setbacks, they kind of yield disappointment, frustration, discouragement. I didn't reach the level of discouragement or frustration. I was just in the disappointment space, right? Because I had this setback. But then I started thinking about you all with the work you do. And quite frankly, with the work that I did when I was a principal, an assistant principal. And you know, the work that we do is replete with setbacks, right? Like if you really look at it, there's probably a setback every day, right? It's just stuff happens because you got hundreds of kids in the building, you got whatever number of staff you got there, or thousands of kids, depending on the size of your school. Something's going to happen that affects you emotionally, and you may interpret it, receive it as a setback, right? Because you didn't anticipate it. So I'm saying all of that to say this. Setbacks are a part of your leadership journey. So don't beat up on yourself when you have them. Like I didn't beat up on myself when I had mine. I was disappointed, but I wasn't frustrated. I wasn't discouraged. I was just a little disappointed. Like, really? Right? I can't tell you what it was, right? But again, I was like, really? That's where we going? That's what we doing, right? So, but for me, the good thing was it worked itself out. So whatever the setback was, it's gone now. It vanished. It disappeared. So I'm good. Now I had something, I played a role in the disappearance of the setback, right? So I'm saying that to say to you, you're going to have your setbacks. You probably had several last week. And again, those setbacks can become disappointments. Those setbacks can become frustration. Those setbacks can become discouragement. So my question to you is, how are you responding to your setbacks, right? How are you reacting to them? But I prefer the word responding as opposed to reacting. Reacting sometimes has a negative connotation to it. But when you respond to it, right, now you're effectuating some kind of a shift or some kind of an adjustment that needs to be made as it relates to whatever this setback was. So I'm saying to you in my monologue, when you have these setbacks, and if they become frustration, if they become discouragement, if they become disappointment, then I'm challenging you. Respond to it strategically, intelligently, maybe write some notes, think it through, process it, so that the best course of action you can take, you will take, because you took the time to think it through. So my own setback that I had, I thought it through. I responded accordingly, and it all worked out. Can't share what it is, but just trust me when I tell you, it all worked out. So don't let the setback in your school under your leadership defeat you, because then that means the setback won. Don't let the setback defeat you. Take the setback and turn it into a win. Take the setback and turn it into a victory. Take the setback and turn it into a triumph. But you got to think it through intelligently, right? You got to respond to it intelligently and turn it into a win. I told you, I'll just say this last piece. Those of you who've been rocking with me, you know I did a monologue recently where I said I quit my job twice, right? So, meaning my principalship. So, setback, because things were happening and I just reached my wit's end. But once I did it and thought it through, let me tell you something. One of the best things that I could have ever done in my entire career was that decision to quit my job. because by quitting my job, it took me to heights that I did not know I was going to reach. Now, am I saying to you, so go ahead and quit your job because you're going to have the same success? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I thought it through. I figured out what I had to do. I made the adjustment, and then my career took off. As opposed to quit my job and wound up shifting careers and doing something that I have no passion for. So again, setbacks are an inevitable part of your leadership life. Enough said. I got 3 guests. Let me get them up here, but since I'm thinking about it, let me adjust my screen first. Y'all know I usually do it last and it's a mess. So I just did it behind the scenes. So now let me bring up my guests here. There they go. Bam. Let's see what happened to here we at, Doc. Bam. Good morning, folks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't hear y'all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This ain't working right, so I'm gonna have to take it off. And in fact, let me try something here. Can you hear me now? Say something.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We're gonna pull this out. We're gonna have to do the echo.
Principal Kafele, you're muted.
All right. Maybe that was my problem. You heard all my announcements in monologue, though, right?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So good morning to you, and I'm glad you're here. Let me share with the fam who's on the screen. We got 3 heavyweights, y'all. Let me start off with the current superintendent of the Belleville Public Schools, Belleville, New Jersey, the state that made me, Dr. Erick Alfonso, who I've been knowing for a while. He serves as superintendent of Belleville Public Schools and is the founder and CEO of Align Consultant Group. With a career spanning superintendent leadership, district-wide administration, instructional oversight across multiple New Jersey districts, he brings a systems-focused yet people-centered approach to educational leadership. His work blends instructional vision with operational excellence, and he is widely recognized for strengthening leadership pipelines, aligning curriculum and professional development, and building the structures that allow astute educators to thrive. His collaborative style has led to meaningful partnerships with higher education, local government, nonprofit organizations, and community stakeholders. In addition to his superintendent role, Dr. Alfonso is an adjunct professor, national presenter, trusted consultant for districts seeking to elevate instructional practice, culture, and leadership development. His EDD from Seton Hall University and MBA from Ramapo College in New Jersey inform a holistic leadership philosophy grounded in strategy, purpose, and service. Known for his authenticity and belief in Belleville excellence, he brings a practical, that's what happens when you're reading too fast, an inspiring voice to conversations about instructional leadership and the future of teaching and learning. That is Dr. Erick Alfonso. We got a Dr. Finney, man. I should have asked you before we went on the correct pronunciation of your first. Let me try it first before I ask you. Mm-hmm. Is it Pierrette?
It is Pierrette. Yes, perfect.
There you go. So we got Dr. Pierrette Finney, serves as the Chief Academic Officer for Alexandria City Public Schools in Alexandria, Virginia, where she leads the Department of Teaching, Learning, and Leadership. With more than 20 years of experience as a teacher, assistant principal, executive director of school leadership, and now Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Finney is a transformative leader dedicated to building systems that are equitable, restorative, and anchored in instructional excellence. Throughout her career, Dr. Finney has championed initiatives that evaluate and that elevate student achievement and strengthen leadership capacity across schools. Under her leadership, Alexandria City Public Schools continues to build coherence through high-quality instruction, culturally responsive practices, and data-driven professional learning. Dr. Finney is also deeply invested in developing future leaders by supporting leadership pipelines for aspiring leaders. I know something about that. Her approach to leadership emphasizes authenticity, service, and courage. A proud alumna of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, HBCU, George Mason University, and Liberty University, Dr. Finney's leadership journey is rooted in resilience, empathy, and unwavering belief in the potential of every student and educator. Before I go to Dr. Johnson, I told y'all where I'm at Virginia Union University, but I don't remember if I've mentioned that this is an HBCU as well, about 160 some odd years strong. Dr. Ericka Johnson, who I've also known for quite a while, is a visionary educator and transformational leader devoted to advancing equitable, high-quality education for all students. From substitute teacher to superintendent, her journey embodies what's possible when purpose meets perseverance. A Dallas Urban League Torch recipient, she distinguished herself as a teacher, transformed an underperforming school as principal, and as superintendent, led more than 20 campuses to significant academic gains, including National Blue Ribbon recognition. Most recently, Dr. Johnson served as interim provost and dean at an HBCU, driving innovation and programs centered on social good. As founder of Imagine That Consulting, she empowers leaders through data, equity, and culture-driven transformation. A sought-after transformational strategist and a TEDx speaker, Dr. Johnson inspires audiences from her signature blend of authenticity, strategy, and passion. Her debut book, From Sub to Soup, The Journey of Transformational Leader, captures her powerful story of resilience, leadership, and impact. That's Dr. Ericka Johnson. She's off camera for a minute. I'm sure she'll be back. But are you back? I see you. Let me see what's happening with your. Okay, you there? Oh, okay. You doing that, or is that me? Dr. Johnson, did you take this off?
I did not. I did not.
I don't know what that is, man. Must be this connection in here. I hope it don't happen no more. Right? So let's jump into it, y'all. I want to go back to first my monologue. What are your thoughts? And by the way, I'm not asking anybody specific this question. You feel free to jump in. What are your thoughts on handling the inevitable setbacks that leaders will be confronted by? Anybody?
Absolutely. I'll jump in. I've been watching you for a while, and I know that reflection is a part of leadership. And so in my leadership, I have 4 P's. I pause, process, pray, and proceed. There have been numerous times when you get a setback and you want to rapid fire off an email that could be a career ending email that you really have to think about. Do I want to respond this way? How am I going to process this? How am I going to respond to this so that I have a plan moving forward? And of course, just thinking about just what are the next steps in this reflection are key in any part of the setback. How are you going to move forward? You can't stay stuck there.
That's right. I love it. I love it. Anybody else?
I'll piggyback off after Dr. Finney. So one thing that I'm very big about is faith when it comes to our setbacks, knowing that we're serving our true calling and our true purpose. And if God is with us, who's against us, right? So for me, your setback tests you, but your comeback tells your story.
Yeah.
So we really have to have that perseverance, especially as leaders of color, to show our community that there is another side, that there is glory, that there is progression.
Love it, love it, love it. Dr.
For me, just to piggyback on the 2 docs, so the reality is people really need to understand that you're not alone, and setbacks do happen. And so, Principal Cafele, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because the reality is sometimes when we're in these positions, we think that these setbacks and these challenges are abnormal, but they're not. And so once you realize that this is the norm, and so now to Dr. Finney's point, how do you reflect and how do you move on? I think that's key. And so thank you for sharing that, because setback is part of the process.
Yeah, I thank you for saying that. You making me want to do the monologue all over again because I don't have that in there, right? So let's stay there for a half second. I just want to say what you said. I got nothing new. The setback is a part of the process, y'all. It's just they could put it in the job description. There will be setbacks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So with that, I have this scenario that I wrote, so I got to read it. Let me read this to you. Going into your state standardized assessments, your entire school community is feeling good about where you are and the prospects for meeting or exceeding your benchmarks for that year. Your school takes the assessment, you get the results back, and they are disappointing. You as the leader, you are devastated, right? Because of the quality of work that was put in, not to mention the quantity, but the quality of work that was put in, and it was just a good feeling. I got a 4-parter for y'all. Again, anybody. How does this leader handle this setback within oneself first? I'll get to the other people, but this one, just within oneself, what am I to do?
I'll jump on this one. Very big on the 3 R's. You got to reflect, reassess, readjust. So our first reflection is...
Hey, Erick, Dr. Alfonso, hit them words one more time.
The 3 R's: reflect, reassess, readjust. Continuous improvement, continuous reflection. It's a cyclical. So what happened? What went wrong? Really looking into it. That's our reassessment part. Once we reassess, we start taking down some notes and get that data that informs our instruction, that informs the communication that we're going to have. You know, at this point, I'm taking for granted that our culture is established because this platform, your platform, is all about culture. So we're really hoping that the culture is already established to have those difficult conversations. And then we readjust. We readjust our course of action. We bring this information to our educators and we own it. We have to own everything we do. So that is a very big thing for me. It's first, take a step back, take a breath, reflect, reassess, readjust, and then deliver.
I love it. Good stuff. Anybody else?
Definitely. I would jump in and say owning the data is key. And hopefully, as you share, building the relationships with staff will give you that collective efficacy to be able to move forward, to problem solve, to look at the data, to break down the data, to see what went wrong, and then develop a plan of action of how you're going to tackle the data. But then also being transparent with the school and the school community and the parents that you don't intend to stay there, that you're going to work as a team hard, very hard to move forward, and that you put forth this plan so that you all can work together to get that data back up again. But own the data. It is what it is. Own the data. Don't hide from it.
Own the data. Hey, Dr. Johnson, hang on real quick. Hey, fam out there, I'm talking to the folks in the family now who are outside of the or part of the thread and beyond. Own the data. That's your data.
It's your data. It's a reflection of who you are as the leader of that building.
Yep. Own that data. I just want to reinforce those words. Own your, and you know something, Dr. Finney, that word your, that's really the word, because it's yours, right? So own your data.
Good and bad, it's yours.
Out of your leadership, right? Yeah, good stuff. Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, so, Dr. Finney, you are spot on, right? And you got to own it. Whether it feels good or it does not, you got to own it. And then the piece about being transparent, I think that's key, but not just transparent with the numbers and the results, but be vulnerable with your faculty and your staff and sharing, hey, y'all, I expected something different. This hurts, right? So when you can become vulnerable and transparent with the people that you're leading, now you can have a different kind of conversation because they're feeling as though you're feeling the same thing that they are. It makes you human and it eliminates the parameters of just that title. So back to Dr. Finney, it's about being open, being honest, having that relationship with your staff to say, hey, I don't know what happened. So let's talk about it. What do y'all think happened and how can we fix this and move on?
And if I could also add to that, just being reflective with your staff and transparent comes from a place of working side by side with them, right? Staff will believe you if they know you've been working side by side with them. If it's been a top-down approach and you all have to do this and you have to do that, and they don't even see you as a part of the work. I tell my staff all the time, don't leave me out of the work. I want to be a part of the work. If they don't see you as a part of the work, no matter how honest and transparent you are in that moment, you won't be authentic and believable. You have to be in it with your staff.
Got to be in it with them. So that's a great segue to part B of this 4-part question. How does this leader address this setback with staff? Because they too are disappointed, because we, as a school, we really felt like this is our moment. So anybody, how does this leader address this setback with staff?
I think you start by highlighting the positive, because everything was a negative. It can't be. Right. And so you pull the positive, whether that's in the quantitative numbers or it's in the qualitative, just the perceptions and that piece within the culture. So you have to reinforce, yeah, we may not have landed where we wanted to. However, there were some good things that took place in this journey. And so highlight that and then talk about a plan of action to transform. But again, own the numbers. On the numbers and figure out how to fix it, figure it out. My 2 key terms: fix it and figure it out.
Fix it and figure it out.
Love that. So to jump, just exactly what you're saying. I'm a very big believer when we're having these conversations. I first ask them what their thoughts are. I'm the last one to go always. Because sometimes if you pay attention, that the conversation navigates to what you started off with. So I always like to be the last one to speak. Let me hear all different perspectives that are not skewed based on what I said. And then from there, holistically, we develop an approach. Then we bring in the data to then see how aligned our thoughts and processes were to what the data is showing us, and then make that nexus.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I got 2 more groups for y'all. How does this leader address this setback with parents / community? Because, you know, they looking at the numbers. And what do you think? Particularly parents, because you're not going to have access to the entire community, but particularly parents, what might that leader say, you know, in terms of just allaying the concerns that parents may have? Anybody jump on in here?
Yes. So I talk about this in my book. That's a shameless plug, but I talk about this. Right?
No, we got. Hey, Doc, we got to plug our own stuff.
Hey,
we got to. So
it's in the book, right? But I think a lot of times leaders that sit in the seat, we often forget to ask for help. And so I think it's as simple as reaching out to our parents and asking for help, right? And making this truly a community of culture. And so it's you have to inform your parents just like you inform your staff. As the leader, I can't do this alone. In fact, I'm gonna do what y'all tell me to do because I've hired the best of the best to do this work. Right. And so you involve your parents and you say, hey, we need help, whether it's mama, at night, I need you to have these kinds of conversations with your baby at the dinner table. Right. And what does that look like? So I think you involve them. Just ask for help.
I think if I could add to Dr. Jackson, parents also want to know that you're coming with a plan. Oh, excuse me, Dr. Johnson, I'm sorry. Right. Parents also want to know that you're coming with a plan. Hopefully you've met with your staff by then and you are coming forward with a plan of action. Like you said, that I need your help with this. This is what we plan to do in school. This is what I need you to do outside of school. And how are we going to work collectively?
And to add to both of yours, the big thing is having the proactive over reactive approach. That culture has to be set. Our brand has to be set. So we have to have established communication regularly with our community and our parents way before this. It should be something from day one that you're establishing a communication pattern that is consistent, that they could find in the same place at the same time, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever the case is. You start building that rapport, you start building that culture. So now they are being informed throughout this process on how we're getting ready for testing, when the testing window's open, the practice that we've had, being transparent as far as our preparation for it. Because at that point, the question isn't, Were they inadequate? Did they not prepare enough? Did they get called last minute? We've been having these conversations and involving our community and our stakeholders. It's critical, because then when we come with these solutions-oriented conversations and we ask the parents, we need you to step in, we need the wraparound approach for the whole child, our parents were already involved at that point. Asking them to get involved when it's like when I was a VP and I only called home when there was an issue. You're going to get the same reaction out of the parent every time they pick up the phone.
Yeah.
But if you take time out of your day to make sure that you call when something positive happens, that's the rapport that you're building, because these difficult conversations and these setbacks are going to happen in every facet of your leadership and in every district you're in, one way, shape, or form. Whether you're in the 90th percentile and you hit the 85th, or you're underperforming, you're in the 30th percentile. It's the perception of the community that you're in.
And if you don't mind, I want to offer this to the audience. So something that I used to do as a principal before we had a standardized test, just to kind of show you how you can get your parents involved in working together as a unified community, right? So we would ask our parents to write a letter to their student and seal it in an envelope. And we would deliver these letters before, they were taking this test. And it would be positive, encouraging words. Of course, you got some parents who may not have an opportunity to write. So in turn, we became parents and we would write these little notes to our students. So we ensured that every student in the entire school received this letter of encouragement before they took a standardized test. It was a game changer, because now me, student, I'm feeling like, okay, somebody really has my back. My mom, my dad, my grandmother, my teacher, my principal, whomever, they care enough to say these words to me, and I can do anything just because somebody believes in me. So when I talk about a unified effort and asking for help, it's little things like that parents can do that doesn't cost them a thing.
I love that.
No, that's good stuff. And before I get to this last one, let me just put something on the screen I saw. Where we at? Here it is. This for you, Dr. Johnson. Name of your book, please.
It is from.
Got the cover. Put it on the screen.
Can you see it?
Yeah, just hold it up all the way to the camera. Yeah, there you go. From sub to soup.
From sub to soup, the journey of a transformational leader.
There you go.
Love that.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
And you can get it on Amazon or at my website.
There you go. And we're going to do that more throughout the course. So you'll have other opportunity to do that. Let's go. So I got one more for that same question. How does this leader, so we got this principal with these scores that just weren't what the entire community thought it was going to be. How does this leader address this setback with their immediate supervisor or the superintendent? Obviously, that's you, Doc, and who in turn, watch this, who in turn will be addressing the board or the board president, right? And Doc, if you want to remove yourself from that, Alfonso, you are the superintendent, right? So, and even yourself, Doc. Well, no, Finney, you good.
I can jump in on this one because I know my current superintendent is watching and my former superintendent is also watching.
Oh, hello to both of them.
I will say I have been very fortunate as they've modeled leadership of being a part of the work as well. So when I've had data that was glowing, when I became principal, I took over a school that was considered in transformation, and we had to work really hard within 3 years to become fully accredited. And I can definitely say, they have been side by side in the work with me as a principal, and even as a chief academic officer now, side by side in the work with me. And I think that's just relevant at all levels of leadership. You have to own where you did well and really own where you did not do well. But when you're coming before your superintendent, you also have to have your plan of action of how you're going to get out of whatever area it is that is showing deficit. And also, them being a part of the work with you and supportive. At the central office level, we are here to be support. And that has been what I've experienced with the current and former superintendent. They have been there to be supportive and ensuring that whatever area needs to improve, they're there to support me through that.
Anybody else?
You got to have a plan. So it goes back to figure it out and fix it. You know, I remember having several of those conversations when I sat in the seat, and it was, okay, so what, now what, right? So this is the reality. Now, what are we going to do about it? And you put some metrics in place. You should have a plan before your superintendent can give you a plan, right? Like, that's the game changer. That we laugh because we know what that feels like, right? It don't come to me as the soup and expect that I should develop, you know, this plan of action for you, because if that's the case, future principals, then why do I need you sitting in the seat, right? So I need you as the leader of that school to, number one, own it, figure out what the issue is, come up with your plan, and that's how you fix it. It's real simple.
Yeah, that plan. That matters. You the soup. You don't need this one. Yeah.
You don't have an open book, but all good.
Yeah. Hey, let's move on. You know, I want to talk a little bit about the three of you before we get into some other things. The three of you have done a lot in education, a heck of a lot, inclusive of education administration or educational leadership. So I want to go one by one on this one. Dr. Alfonso, who are you as an educational leader, and what is it that drives you to be the best version of yourself as an educational leader?
So let me start off by saying that I am not supposed to be here. I am supposed to be a statistic. I'm a son of immigrant parents. I grew up in poverty, you know, first generation college student. Check off every box you could think of. That was me. And I love how we start off with setbacks, because when you're living in a setback, that, you know, you create your comeback. Yeah. You know, David didn't become David without Goliath. So our whole lives, we develop this grit and this perseverance, which is necessary, which builds that fire inside of us, which I hear you speak about all the time. That fire is essential to who we are, and is essential to our instructional leadership identity. You know, we can't misconstrue who we are as a leader in the work we do with who we are. And a lot of times we tend to do that. And that's where, you know, the burnout happens and some of the other stuff happens. But as an instructional leader, as an educational leader, I am that child that shouldn't have been in an honors class. I shouldn't have been given the opportunities. I didn't receive the opportunities. So that is part of my why, is to make sure that the number of children that have a similar experience lessens with every interaction that I have. You know, I'm very big on setting the culture that we are a family. I don't use the word team. I use the word family, because we are family. I have your back no matter what, to the point that if something happens, if mistakes are made, because we all make mistakes, come to me and we will figure it out. We will fix it. And these are a lot of opportunities that there's two ways in life that you really get to experience them. Either one, you have great role models and leadership that you follow, or the complete opposite, where you start seeing the things you don't want to be. And you have to take inventory of that. And again, it's that reassessment and adjustment that I've been talking about. We're not jaded. We're not saying I'm never going to get into that role, whatever the case is no, I need to make sure that I represent what is not being represented. I need to make sure that I'm a window for these students who don't even believe that they can either get to college, let alone be in a leadership position someday. So us, we push the bar. We are the face. We are the represent those students. So every district that I've worked in has been a lower socioeconomic performing district. And that is where a lot of my success have been. That I will go to the houses and have conversations with the parents at times. I will pick up the phone any given time of day and make sure that they're okay. You know, have a weird feeling about a conversation I have with a student. I'll jot it down on my phone, the name of the student. I'll make sure I get back to them. That personal touch is what our children need. Our children are not hypersensitive. You know, we make up too many excuses for them. We almost lower the standards for them. We need to raise the standards for them. They're going to meet us. As long as they feel support, and they feel the love is in place.
Yeah.
If there's no love in place, we can't accomplish much.
You know, you said a lot, and one of the things you just said really resonated with me, and I want you to just elaborate on it a little bit further. You said you want to represent that which is not represented. What are you saying there?
Well, I'm stating the facts. 14% of superintendents are of Latino descent throughout the country. I believe 7% are Black. So combined, we're talking about 20%.
Yeah.
But if you look at our population throughout the country, we really aren't the minority anymore. So there's so many students that need us, that need someone that looks like them, talks like them, that has that personal lived experience to connect with them. Because once you connect with them at that level, those true meaningful conversations are had, the vulnerabilities are shown, and that whole child concept really comes into play. We always talk about the whole child. It's a great term to use forever, but are we really doing it? It goes far beyond the classroom. It goes far beyond the instructional hours. It goes about even going to their games on the weekends. Those little things go a long way. I have students that I had in elementary school who still have my email, and they'll email me and give me their college schedule to play in college sports. And that is the rapport that you want, because those lives you are affecting, and they have somebody to model after, and they're gonna at one point pass it forward.
Love it. Let me. I appreciate that too. Let me go to Dr. Finney. Same question. You are an educational leader, and my question. Well, who are you as an educational leader, and what drives you to be the best version of your leadership self?
Absolutely. And you are making us dig deep this morning, but I am the face of, as every student in your building who was raised by a single mother, who, in the African-American family, whose grandparents are always an extension of your family, who will pick you up after school, will be there for your activities. My grandparents, both of them, didn't have education beyond 8th grade, but they instilled in me just the values of education and why education is so important. I am the face of, we call it advanced academics in Alexandria, your tag student who may be the only little Black girl in the classroom full of white children who are determined to succeed, and know that you authentically belong in that space and that you are valued in that space. And I am the face of a champion for my kids, whether at central office or in the school, that believes no matter your circumstance that you will succeed. Oftentimes we talk about parent engagement. My mother was a very involved parent. She may not have been at every single PTA parent conference after school. There's a difference between being involved and engaged. And don't write off your parents who may be engaged, but they can't be involved because of the circumstance. And so I am the face of all of those kids, determined to make sure I create the conditions for either the school system or within the schools to ensure that they're able to succeed.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I recall vividly that just the way that, and I'm not referring to when I was in the district, so not the aspiring folks, but the folks who were in leadership. I was able to observe the way they gravitated to you. I saw.
Yes.
Right? It was very obvious the regard that they hold you in, and that's from those years of doing what you just said, right? And so I got to see it with my own eyes.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I hold highly is how you treat people and how you value them. And that is extremely important for me. People will always remember how you made them feel. They will always remember how you have fed into their lives, or how you supported them, or how you've given them feedback, whether good or bad. They know your feedback is based in love and you want them to grow. And so that has always been the core of who I am, and extremely important to me.
Great stuff. Dr. Johnson, same thing. Who are you as an educational leader, and what drives you to continue to be the best version of your leadership self?
So listen, I never wanted to be a teacher ever. That was not on my radar. I came from a family, to Dr. Finney's point, a single mother who my father was in and out of my life and had his own challenges. And so I saw that. And to Dr. Alfonso's point, I saw what not to do in some regard. And so with that, my mother didn't graduate from high school. So she pushed to get an education, but I didn't really have a framework for what that was. And so I kind of had to figure a lot of things out on my own when it came to what education could look like. And so I knew that teaching wasn't in my scope of existence at that time. But I always say somebody always seems to have seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. And so my aunt encouraged me to become a teacher, to become a substitute, as a matter of fact. And so when I got in the classroom, I truly fell in love with that. And that inspired me to leave a legacy where students who were like me trying to figure it out, I could help create that path for them. And so throughout my journey, that's what I've always tried to do, was to create an environment for the student that I was, an environment where, where we were a family. And if I didn't have the support at home, I had the support at school. And so we would be at school, early to late, because we knew that that's what our kids needed. We would go to these games. We would take kids on trips and expose them to things that they hadn't seen before, because that was something that I needed as a student. So what I learned to do was just transform what my needs were, and building a community around that. And so now it's like, I got to have somewhere great for my grandchildren to go to school whenever I get them. Lord, please let me get some grandbabies at some point in my life. Right. And so that's my mission now, is to create these learning environments where kids can be successful who may not know anything different. And so I think it's our responsibility to show them that, because somebody showed it to me. And so I think that's what has really fueled my success in this realm of education.
I love that. Let's keep moving. To the fam out there, I want you to particularly lock in on these next three questions. You all know that I take a lot of time talking to the fam, putting these agendas together. I take this very seriously. So I spend hours every week putting together this agenda for a program that I don't get paid to do. I just take it that seriously for the folks who are going to tune in, whether it be the live audience or the video audience. So check out these next three. First, I want to go with Dr. Alfonso. Doc, you bring a systems-focused yet people-centered approach to your leadership. All I want you to do is break that down. What are you saying?
It's a complex piece. This is almost like a sandwich method. You first got to start building the culture, building the people, getting to know the people. Both of these wonderful leaders have mentioned that, getting to know them. And getting to know them doesn't only mean their instructional style methodology. It means, how are your kids doing? Hey, how'd your mom's procedure go? Whatever the case is, really building that interpersonal connection, because with that connection, there's also a sense of accountability that is built through that. Mm-hmm. Because now we know each other. We're not going to let each other down. Now I know I can come to you with these issues, right? So that's the first step about the people. And as far as systems, I'm a very big believer in building our own pipelines, building our own grow your own models. So one of the first things I did here when I got to Belleville was we created the Belleville Aspiring Leaders Academy. And that was all of our educators who either have their certificate or in school to get a certificate, even if they're not even thinking about leadership and just getting the next step, the next bump, bringing them collectively, having them share experiences and giving them the information that we don't find in textbooks. We all remember our first week and our first admin role, that we were running around, not knowing which direction, what fire to put out first. So really building our pipelines, and those pipelines, now they become a core group of educators. They're going to spread out throughout the entire district that you're tapping into either monthly, bi-weekly, whenever it is we set up our sessions. And you're building an internal team with this culture is going to spread like a virus, a great virus. Because, you know, I'm in a district with over 5,000 students. We have about 1,500 families. I would love to have that one-to-one with every single one. But the next best step is building that team. So we have about 40 educators who come, we meet, we have these great conversations. They also see the other side of the leader, not just the walkthroughs, the observations, whatever the case is. Now we see how the leader would handle these situations, and sometimes situations that it never crossed their mind because the leadership did such a great job of taking care of some of these situations or obstacles or emergencies, and they never found out it happened in their own building. So the systems piece plus the personal piece, they go in tandem.
Yeah.
Because you could build these systems. You could build the best system on paper and theory in the world. If there's no buy-in, if people don't feel like they actually have a seat at the table, if they feel it's just a pretty little flyer PDF, you know, another initiative to push, you're not going to get the heart behind it. Heart, hands, and minds. That's what we really focus on as leaders. We get hearts, hands, and minds. Everything else will flow through there. And then these systems will be holistically put into place and add value and meaning. And my biggest thing as a leader is to leave a generational impact. Where they, you know, Jim Collins calls it level 4 leadership. What happens when we're not here? What happens when we're not in our buildings, when we're not in our districts? Is it fires put out, our phones are blowing up? Is it if we transition to a different district or we retire, whatever the case is? Do the scores plummet? Does the culture plummet? So we really build these systems that are going to outlast us. You know, Dr. Johnson talked about her grandbabies in the school that her grandbabies are going to go to. That's part of this approach. That is not just us. It's not just the time that we're here. It's also just as important the time after we're no longer here.
You know, what you're saying is so powerful and profound. On the one hand, how you took, again, that language, systems focus, and then you use the word yet, people-centered, right? But then when you for another conversation, another time, that system outliving the leadership that's there, man, you know, that's a stickler for me, because I've seen where, for example, I've had certain things in place and I moved on, and everything that was in place that was working was dismantled for the new leader, right? So and I always say, but if it's working, why are you adjusting it? It's working. Is this about children, or is this about the personality of the leadership, right? So but that's for another time.
We could go on for hours about that one.
Oh yeah, that's a whole topic in and of itself. So Dr. Finney, your transformation, you're a transformative leader dedicated to building systems. There's that word again. Building systems that are equitable, restorative, and anchored in instructional excellence. Just as I did with Dr. Alfonso. Break that down for us.
Absolutely. You know, if I could just respond to Dr. Alfonso very quickly, that legacy of leadership is so important. And I think it's something that we all aspire to. But when I think about, you know, my trajectory of leadership, I pride myself on working in Title I schools. I pride myself on being that transformative principal that worked in schools that required systemic improvement. And so I think key to all of that was instructional leader. being the instructional leader, empowering my assistant principals to lead authentically in their leadership. You know, oftentimes the principal has to be the leader of leaders to empower your assistant principals, your instructional coaches, your teachers to do great work among kids. But you also have to model what you want to see. You have to model being a part of those professional learning communities. You have to model being reflective, model when things went right. And how do you respond? Model when things go wrong, and how do you respond? Model to being a learner with your staff, being a part of the professional development. And so all of those attributes of being an instructional leader create the systems for sustainability, right? If you're modeling what you want to see, you're also feeding into your assistant principals, feeding into your instructional coaches, feeding into your teachers what they should be modeling as well to create those sustainable systems.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me keep it moving. Dr. Johnson, you are a visionary educator and transformational leader devoted to advancing equitable, there's that word again, high quality education for all students. As I said with the previous two, break it down for us.
Sure. So being to Dr. Finney's point, I don't know what it's like to go into a school where everything is performing at perfection. I have no idea what that looks like, feels like, sounds like. Every school I've ever worked in, we started with a lot of challenges and we were near the bottom, right, when it comes to the ranking of those schools in that particular district. So transformation is all I know. And I truly believe that this is a calling. Right. This isn't something that you just wake up one day and you say, I want to teach or I want to lead educators. It's something that God has placed inside of you and giving you everything you need to make it happen. I truly believe that. And so as a transformational leader, it's about taking a situation from where it is, right? Accepting that. And then what systems are you going to put in place to improve the current state of that environment? And so with that, I think it goes back to shared leadership, knowing that you can't do this journey alone, knowing that you have to build a team that can fill your gaps. And learning that as the leader, you're going to have a lot of gaps and that makes you human. But the effective leader points that out and puts people around them that can fill those gaps. So what you're weak at, you need to hire people that can make that happen for you. Being in this system and being a leader, I think it's really about, again, being vulnerable, accepting the reality of any current situation, and then encouraging and empowering other people around you to be the very best that they can be. That's what I've learned to do as a leader in this position.
I love it. I love it. You know, I want to go back to Dr. Finney, and then I'm going to have the two of you chime in on this one before we go to our talking points that you sent me. I want to explore, Dr. Finney, your commitment to developing future leaders, which is how I met you, by supporting leadership pipelines for aspiring leaders. Can you give us some insight on that?
Absolutely. That is I think that is my favorite part of the job. Just recognizing whether it's a teacher or a teacher who aspires to be an assistant principal, or an assistant principal who aspires to be a principal, or a principal who aspires to central office. How can I be a conduit to supporting that leadership? How can I create systems, a pipeline within our school division that is going to provide the conditions for you to be able to do so? And, you know, oftentimes you want to grow your own within the division. You want to ensure that the experiences, the professional learning that you're providing for your staff, it's sort of like it's paying you back time and time again, the staff know your system, they know the students, they're growing professionally, and they are assuming those leadership roles built upon a common knowledge of what you expect for all teachers or all administrators or all leaders. And so it is one of the greatest things that I think a school system can do is build its own leaders, but provide the professional learning, high quality professional learning for them to be able to assume those leadership roles. It is the highlights of my job, I would definitely say.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Dr. Alfonso, Dr. Johnson, any thoughts of your own on recruiting, developing, and retaining effective leaders?
Yeah, I want to jump in on real quick. One of my other, as you know, I'm an adjunct professor as well, and I found it remarkably beneficial to have the conversations with the higher education sector and bringing these cohorts into the district. Because when you bring them into the district, now you also remove another barrier that could be just getting to the university. The fear of being back in the university with some of our veteran educators that might have graduated college 10, 15, 20 years ago. You're not making it easier for them. Now, a lot of times from my experience when we've done this, some of our administrators in-house teach some of those sessions. So we can apply that appropriate pressure, because not all peer pressure is bad pressure.
Right.
Sometimes you lean forward into something, right? So I was like, hey, we're doing this. I'm teaching a course. I would love to see you there. And getting them to push past that comfort level. So we need to have those conversations with higher education, because some of us, yes, we are not the norm. We are usually, we set these barriers and our limitations on ourselves because they're cultural barriers that have been set for generations. At most, you're an educator, that's it, keep your head down, work 20, 25 years, and then retire. No, push the status quo, push past those limits, push past that ceiling. But also us as leaders, it is our job to facilitate and provide those resources. So when I was able to realize the impact that we had connecting with some of our universities and bringing those leadership programs in-house, and then also being able to teach a couple of them, talking to some of our administrators and say, hey, can you pick up a course? Now there's that connection. Now some of our educators, their principal might be teaching one of the courses. And now there's that buy-in that we've talked about previously, and this all ties in. Now you have your certificate. Now we have another program set up that's our Aspiring Leaders program. And we start building them up from there and supporting them every step of the way. That is critical when it comes to the work we do, because again, we are underrepresented. So we need to take an active role and not just talk about it. We need to be about it. We need to be about that change we want to see. And being hands-on and building that rapport and building those networks. We always say your network is your net worth, right? This is a huge part of it. Bridging that gap that seems to be between K-12 and higher ed.
Wow. Good stuff. You need to be here at this conference maybe it's a summit that I'm here for today, because that's what it's about, right? It's bridging that gap, right? So that's the theme here today. But Dr. Johnson, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So believe it or not, in my 26 years of doing this work, I've made some mistakes. And I've put some people in the wrong place because I thought they were ready when they really were not. And so with that, I've learned that Kim Scott writes about, you have to understand who are the stars, the superstars, and the rock stars. And sometimes, the stars are magnificent at what they do, but they're not ready to become a superstar. And so you have to accept that. And you have some superstars who are ready to become rock stars and some that are not. So I think first you have to really understand the position that a person is in, and if they themselves are ready to move to somewhere else, or if they want to continue to stay where they are and continue to be great in that position. And then creating these pipelines, I think it's crucial for us in K-12 to work with higher ed, right? I remember we created a program where, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Dr. Kimberly McLeod, her principal.
Yeah.
But
recently.
Yeah, she's amazing. But working with Dr. McLeod, we were able to develop a pipeline for our paraprofessionals that were interested in becoming teachers. And then the same for our teachers who wanted to go into administration. So I think first you have to identify who's ready for that, not just because we think they're magnificent in their current position, but do they have it in their heart to do something different? And then working with higher ed, creating that bridge and not just putting the system in place, but putting the resources into the system so that it can happen, right? Because it's one thing to say, okay, there's this pathway for you to become a certified teacher, but then there's no funding behind it, which is a whole different conversation. So I think it's multiple pieces to solving that whole pipeline issue that we face in education today. And the reality is we're not gaining a lot of teachers. You know, you mentioned earlier, I was the dean of the Department of Education, and we may have had 5 students who were education majors, you know, and so a lot of universities are transitioning their whole departments of education, and they're putting them under different umbrellas now. You know, we do this whole panel discussion of bringing sexy back to education, because we got to go back to a time when education was cool to be an educator. And so I think, right, and having these conversations and stop telling them on my soapbox, but stop telling these kids that, you know, don't go into teaching. We got to stop that. And I know I've been guilty of that. But I think it starts there, and then I'm gonna stop.
Right. And if I could just add one more point, just about leadership. A part of leadership is human resources leadership. And within our systems, having these pipelines are promoting retention. You want to keep your staff in your division. You want to grow them in your division. You know, the last thing you want is a retention problem because they've gone to other divisions who are offering pipelines and you know, partnerships with universities. And so human resources leadership is also a key part in all of this conversation, because you want to retain your staff and you want them to feel valued within your division.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that part. You know, to the fam out there, do me a favor, hit that share button, hit that repost button, retweet button, hit the like button, text somebody, call somebody, let them know we are here, we are live. We're at the midway point, a little bit past the midway point, but let folks know. But that like button on the YouTube side in particular, make sure you hit that like button. Even if you dislike it, like it anyway, right? Hit the like button. Before we move to the talking points, let me once again, Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson is a consultant, fam, and in addition to being a boots on the ground educator. Doc, how do they reach out to you? How do they follow you? How do they get your books? How do everything? We're not finished yet, fam. We just want you to I just want to get this in midway. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you can follow me on all social media outlets at Dr. Ericka, Ericka Johnson. That's Dr. Ericka Johnson. My website is Dr.Ericka Johnson. Dr.Ericka-Johnson.com. And all the things are listed there.
Put that book on the screen for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hold it all the way. There you go. From sub to soup, Dr. Ericka Johnson, right? Get yourself a copy at Amazon. Dr. Alfonso is also a consultant in addition to being a full-time superintendent. And I might add, he spends time in the gym. If you check out some of his pictures, he looks like he competes, right? So bodybuilding. So let us know how they can get in touch with you, follow you on social media, all that kind of stuff.
No, absolutely. So if you look me up, I'm on all platforms. Erick Alfonso, I'm usually the first one that pops up. As far as consulting, you know, what we really focus on is developing pipelines within districts, grant writing, although right now the federal system is a little shaky with that, but, you know, locating grants, especially competitive grants, there's a lot of work we do there. myself and my colleague, we're doing great work in Tidewater, actually, with some of our educators out there, second career educators, getting them grants to go back to school and become educators. So the work is out there, the grants are out there, the funding's out there. They can email me at ealfonso@alignedconsultantgroup.com. And just look me up on social media. That's the easiest way. When you spell my name, it's CK. That's you put Erick with a C, you're gonna get another like 5 other people. There's a lot of Erick Alfonsos, but not with a CK.
Yeah, good stuff. I appreciate it. Dr. Finney, I know you're not in that consulting space, I don't think.
No, I am not. And I'm just humbled and honored to be in this space with them. But you can find me on Instagram and X at Dr. P. Finney, DrPFinney. I'm also on Facebook, Pierrette Peters Finney, and of course, just willing to be in the work with everyone. If you want to interview, if you want to talk about preparing for interviews, if you want to even just talk about what your next steps are, I just love the work and want to be a part of the work. I do aspire to be a superintendent at some point in my life. I have a book in me that has not been written yet, but it will be written at some point in my career, but just humbled to be in this space with the 3 of you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's go to these talking points. I'm just staying in the same sequence that I've been in. I'm gonna read them, and then you jump in. So, Dr. Alfonso, you said I believe, and to the fam out there, most of the fam understands what this is. But for those of you who maybe this is the first time for you, I always ask my guests. I don't want to just ask them questions that I'm passionate about. I want my guests to be able to talk and think about things that they are passionate about. So I ask them to send me 3 talking points, and then let them elaborate on what they are. So here, Doc, you said, I believe instructional leadership starts with building the capacity of teachers and administrators so that every classroom benefits from empowered, well-supported educators. My immediate just response to that would be amen, but break down what you're telling us.
So just to further elaborate on, we've been talking about pipelines and our grow your own model. I could definitely speak for New Jersey, and I've been, you hear it on national news. Teacher burnout is real. Teacher turnover is real. And a big thing that I've noticed, especially in the last 5 to 10 years, is they get right to around their tenure year. Over here, it's 4 years and a day. And that's it. They burn out. So upon having conversations with them, I noticed that many states, there are mentoring programs for first-year teachers, and it's part of a state requirement in most states. But what we decided to do is we build new teacher universities. Now we support teachers. We do a monthly PD. We first send out a Google form, and it's topics that they feel either not proficient in or whatever the case may be. It might be just our student management system. There's such a big learning curve for them, how to input grades, etc. So we really focus on our years 2 through 4 teachers to help build them up and be part of that process. So once you get to year 4, you've had 4 years of continuous support, because that one year, you're just trying to get your feet out under you. That 1 year, you're trying to figure out what classroom management truly looks like, especially if you're an alternate route teacher and you didn't really have that student teaching experience. You're trying to learn curriculum. And now especially we're inundated with these initiatives and paperwork. In New Jersey, we're changing the testing and everything else. First year teachers, it's a very difficult year. Same thing for first year admins. So us in these leadership positions, we need to remember what that was like. And we also have to keep talking about data. My old professor, Cian Hall, Dr. Gummer, used to say, data is everything, everything is data. So even our teacher turnover, develop exit surveys on the ones that are resigning, the ones that are leaving. Could you please fill this voluntary survey out as anonymous as to why? And when we see that it's burnout, whatever the culture, climate, whatever it may be, we use that data and we tailor that data. We need to be the district that teachers want to apply, teachers want to come to, and teachers have pride in being. That's why if you look all over my social media, everything is Belleville excellence. It's excellence and nothing less. Because that is who we pride ourselves to be. And then from the top down, we have to hold ourselves to that standard. And my other colleagues here have talked about modeling. Modeling is so important. We are never above going into a classroom. We are never above rolling up our sleeves. We had one of our BD classrooms in here. We had a new student. It was giving us a difficult time. I actually went in there. The teacher was shocked to see me in there. The rolled my sleeves up with the kid. Yeah, I got a couple jabs in the face, but they saw that I'm not above the work. And that's a big part of it. Letting them know that, yes, we might be in a different building. Yes, we might be in a different office, but we're always accessible. And that's part of our constant communication, our newsletters. Everything that we do needs to be about the work and about the work as a whole. So we always talk about our administrators, right? We talked about these pipelines that we're creating, Aspiring Leaders Academy, but also having a schedule of meetings with our leadership teams. The way we structure here, we have a pretty big size team. So I have my school leadership meetings and district level leadership meetings. But then once a month, we make it a point to get together to make sure that information, there's no gap, there's no cracks in our information, right? But we need to make sure that everyone is targeted and give them that platform to speak. These meetings have a brief agenda, a couple bullet points, but it's about what's going on in the building. How can we help? What have you done that maybe I can do? What has been effective for you? I have this idea. What do you guys think? Oh, I tried it 2 years ago. Didn't work for whatever reason. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
We use our network within. So that is really what I mean by building our educators and our administrators. We have the capacity to do it within. We're here to serve in leadership. We're in the business of serving. And that is, at our level, is communities as well. If they are not being seen, they don't feel heard. If they're having needs, we just had a huge food drive the last 2 weeks for our community because of the SNAP benefits and everything else that was going on. Amazing turnout, over 1,000 families. So that is how we truly tap in and show that we're not just talk. We're not just about an email. We are hands up, rolled up our sleeves in the work. Because if I'm in the work, then you have a partner in me and not just an administrator, not just somebody above you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Let's go to the next one. Because I'm on this campus, there was so much I wanted to jump in here and ask you in addition, but I know that they're expecting me back in that room for that fireside chat at 1 o'clock. So I'm not jumping in the way that I would want to. So let me keep it moving. Dr. Finney, StreamYard gives me 200. They give you 200 characters. So I got the 200 characters, but I don't have your whole statement. So I'm gonna read the rest of it from my notes here. So effective instructional leadership is grounded in a culture of learning for both students and staff, where principals serve as leaders of leaders who drive growth through reflection. And then what I have here, collaboration and data-driven practice. So with that said, go ahead and feature.
Absolutely. One of the big areas of focus within our school division this year is really elevating instructional leadership. And that begins with the principal. The principal is the instructional leader of that building, and they have to model what they expect out of their assistant principals, their instructional coaches, and their teachers, and I think on your platform, one of the most game-changing and profound analogies that you shared was the football analogy, when the coach is running out with his team and he stops and he's like, I'm going back in the locker room, and if you all need me, I'm here, but y'all go ahead and play the game. And that's the same for the leader. You can't send your teachers or your assistant principals or even your executive directors, if you're at the central office level, out into the field without you being a part of the work and say, well, I'll be in my office, and if you need me, I'm here. You have to be a part of the work. You also have to be reflective in the work. You often speak about a leadership plan. Every Friday before I leave work, I'm writing out my leadership plan for the next week. What meetings am I going to have? What kind of impact am I going to make in those meetings? How am I going to support my team in ensuring that they're elevated to have impact of their own? And that's the same with principals and assistant principals. What's your leadership plan going into your building? Are you thinking very strategically about how you are going to provide feedback to staff, how you're going to be that professional developer for staff? How are you going to be the collaborator, or just even to create the systems for collaboration for your staff in order for them to do the work? And so just back to the principal being the leader of leaders, you have to own your space in that leadership and be a part of the work.
Let me, and I really don't want to do this because of time, but I just have to. Talk to us about and we can take this out of your district and we put you in the consultant's role. Talk to the principal out there watching right now who says to him or herself, I understand this thing called instructional leadership. I thoroughly understand it, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. My challenge is time. I just don't know how I'm going to, number one, visit classrooms, which is the first thought that people typically have with instructional leadership. But the most important component is the coaching. So it's like, Kafele, you really expect me to have time to coach and observe with everything that's on my plate? Speak to that principal that's probably on the call now in terms of what adjustments I need to be able to make so that I can spend maximum time as that instructional leader, inclusive of the coaching and the observation.
Absolutely.
Formatively.
Absolutely. It goes back to your monologue. Setbacks are going to come. You can have your day planned out and something happens that totally derails your day. But I think it also goes back to really having a clear leadership plan, whether you planned on going to classrooms. You may have planned to get into 5. Something happens and it's taking 2 or 3 hours out of your day. You may not get into 5 classrooms, but can you get into 1? And, it's often like, what progress can you make, even despite the setbacks? Don't let a setback derail your whole leadership plan. But if you didn't have a plan to begin with, you're just kind of floating through your day, waiting for the problem to come, waiting for the setback to come, for you to respond to it, rather than you responding to your day.
Oh, can I just add one thing to that?
Please do.
One of the biggest things I've noticed is how attached we are to the immense amount of emails that we get. So do you really need to be at work during school hours answering those emails? Or can you be in the building, in the classrooms? I believe we're all here. We don't live by a contractual schedule. I really don't believe that. Where the work is weekends is 24/7. We have time for family, but when the call is made, the call is made. So making sure we prioritize when those minute things can be done to not interfere with the school day when it's the most critical time when our students and our teachers are here. That's when we have to be outside. I like to get here at 6 o'clock in the morning and I go through the emails, just plow through them as much as I can. When I know that first bell's going off 10 minutes before drop off, I'm trying to get to a school, the one school. And just make that part of the priority. If you prioritize your day, and again, you reassess what sometimes is the setback that prevents you from getting to a school, many times there can be a way for it to be adjusted to then make time for it. And everyone talks about emails. Everybody talks about all the reporting that's needed and all that. It doesn't have to be during school hours to be done.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
100%.
I thought I heard a voice.
No, we were just agreeing.
Yeah. All right, let me go to this next one. Dr. Johnson, you said data is the new gold, but only if leaders know how to mine it for meaning, not just numbers, and use it to tell the story behind every student's journey. Go ahead and teach us on that one.
Yeah, so data is so valuable. I truly believe it is the new gold. But it's more than just the numbers. It is this whole narrative that really speaks to who our students are. I always used to tell my principals, data should have a face. And so if you're just looking at the numbers and you're not associating it with the history and that particular child, you're missing a lot, right? Because a child can be successful or unsuccessful on an assessment, but did we think about the parent environment? Did we think about how often this baby comes to school on time or late? There are so many other factors that you have to consider if you really want to talk about transforming this educational context. So I really hone into the importance of data, but not just the numbers, not quantified, but qualified, right? And how do you take into account the perceptions. So perception is part of that data set. And we always say, men lie, women lie, but numbers never lie. And I think it's a true story, right? But when you put those numbers with the narrative, now you have a true story of every student in your building, and that's how you impact learning. That's how you change the game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I'm gonna keep it moving so I can get in as much as I can. Dr. Alfonso, you said, I'm passionate about ensuring that every student feels safe, seen, and valued. I want to say those words again. Feel safe, seen, and valued, because meaningful learning can only happen in environments where students trust the adults leading them. I got to say that part again. Where students trust the adults leading them. Go ahead and teach.
This one's near and dear to my heart. Where I grew up, it wasn't exactly the best area. Where I've taught hasn't exactly been the safest areas. And we get into a big conversation about chronic absenteeism. And why is it? And building those personal relationships, being out in the community, grabbing lunch at one of these corner bodegas, that is when you really get to know the community and you hear. It's like when we're doing lunch duty. If you're a principal, you should be doing lunch duty. I'm telling you that right now. Study hall periods, lunch duty, recess, that's gold right there. Because that is when you hear what's really going on the non-instructional time.
Yeah.
So once we know that, then we can properly find solutions to this. To give you a quick example, I had a student that I loved. I knew background family was, it was a rough upbringing. And maybe over 4 days straight, student didn't come to school. He used to love coming to school. Wasn't necessarily on time, but was always coming to school. I reach out home. Mom was like, oh, listen, talk to him. And he didn't want to talk over the phone. I stopped by, meet him outside. There's a courtyard area. And his brother was incarcerated. It wasn't exactly a great area, so he didn't feel safe coming to school in the morning because mom was working. So we made sure that he felt safe coming to school. Myself and a couple of administrators, we actually rotated because it was a smaller town. And we met up at the corner, walked over, and that was a great time to really build that rapport with the student, also show them how much we care. So it's not only about the numbers, it's the meaning behind the numbers. And that's the safety component. Having the people we least think sometimes have a conversation with are crossing guards. Getting to know our crossing guards in some places. Crossing guards might not necessarily be conducive to our students or to the culture that we're trying to promote in our schools. So getting to know who those people are, because those people are the first ones the students see on their way to school. So if something negative happens, whatever the case is, that sets the tone for the entire rest of the day. So it's these little details that a lot of times the only way we actually figure it out is through lived experience. So that is what's so essential. We have these networks to have these conversations to minimize these learning curves and avoid these experiences. So that is the biggest thing. They feel safe, they feel seen, and they feel valued. You want me to come to school. You're going out of your way to make sure I come to school. You called home. I only get calls home when I do something bad at school. So you notice that I'm not here. And it's not because you're not doing your work or you're going to fail an exam. It's because we miss you. You're part of this family. We need you here with us.
Yeah.
And it's the message behind the call.
Yeah. These were staples in my leadership, and they're quite frankly staples in the work I do as a speaker, as a consultant. We talk about students feeling safe, both physically and emotionally, right? Can I be me, whatever that means? Can I be me? Like, am I safe being myself in this environment? And are there adults that recognize that me being me can be challenging amongst my peers, right? That's critical. And that can haunt kids for the rest of their lives. I got some mess. I'm not going to get into it now. I did get into it on another session, but I'm going to leave it alone. But I will say that I had an experience with a family member in terms of being teased. I'll kind of keep it there. My mother's on, and I know she knows where. Hey, Mom, I'm not going there. Right? She sees all of these. So, but this teasing that happened when I was around 8 years old by someone in the family, I'm still agitated by that, right? And I'm 65 now, right? But this thing that happened, it was practically traumatic, just in terms of the ridicule publicly that happened at that time. And now here I am, a senior citizen, but yet I'm still thinking about that. Right, it's still with me. Like, maybe I need therapy. Right, it's not a burden though. It's just that I haven't been able to let it go. Right, so you talk about that feeling safe. So I would always remind staff, remember that which may seem trivial and incidental to us may be major to that youngster. Right, and then being seen. You know, I think you all know my story. I was completely invisible in high school. Nobody saw me. They saw me at athletic time, but they didn't see me at the academic time. And then value, right? Like, do I matter? Right? What is the evidence that that I'm valued in your eyes? You know, so just me even articulating what I did, because these are three areas that just matter to me immeasurably. Right? They're just so important that a youngster is seen, a youngster is heard, a youngster is safe, a youngster is valued. Right? It's so it's good stuff. I think I probably went on and elaborated because I want the family to have the same passion out there, that your students got to be seen, they got to feel safe, they got to be valued while they're in that building. That matters. I can't give you max energy in math and science and language arts and social studies when I don't feel safe, when I feel invisible, when I feel that I'm not valued. It just matters. It just matters. Let me get off of this soapbox and go to Dr. Finney. And once again, I got some of it, right? And I read the rest of it from my paper, from my notes. But assistant principal, that's another area of passion for me. I hope I can stay quiet. Assistant principals serve as instructional leaders who model and cultivate a culture of continuous learning among staff and students, and operate as extensions of the principal's leadership, ensuring that reflection, collaboration, and data-driven decision-making are embedded in daily practice. Man, let me
we can go on for another hour.
Thank your show. This is Dr. Finney's time. So just
yes.
Fall back. All right, let me fall back. Right.
So assistant principals, I love assistant principals. And I think I would respond to that or expand upon that by just asking the assistant principals and aspiring assistant principals on the call to really reflect on where you are in being able to articulate what high quality instructional leadership looks like. Do you have a knowledge of teaching and learning frameworks? Where are you in being skilled in observation and feedback and coaching? And are you courageous in giving tough feedback? And I call it tough feedback with love to help improve a teacher's practice. Where are you in understanding how to analyze data? Where are you in being able to build capacity among teachers? Are you student-centered? Are you relationship-oriented? And again, are you courageous? Like, reflect on those things. And if you know that you have areas of growth in all of those, how are you going to get professional learning? I will say you get free professional learning every Saturday where you could build those skills. But if you know that you are lacking in any of those areas, or I'm not going to say lacking, need to grow in any of those areas, right? Because leadership is always about growth. Even at the central office level, you're always growing in your leadership. But remembering that you are an extension of your principal and helping your principal build that vision for high quality instructional leadership that permeates the entire school. No one wants every other classroom to be high quality instructional leader, to have high quality instructional leadership. High quality instruction. You want every classroom to permeate and to be that. And if you know those are areas in your own leadership that you need to grow in order to be effective in your school, then do those. I highly encourage you to do your own professional learning. And like you, I could go on about that forever, but I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, I can't hold back. I'll just say this, and it's not like this is my first time saying this. It's just that you have that language on the screen about assistant principal. So I'm just going to say again, assistant principal. I know that you're being utilized according to how your principal utilizes you. But as I've said on here so many times, you are an important individual in that building. That means you have a voice. You are a leader. You are number 2 in the building. If there are 10 assistant principals in your 4,000 student school, that means there's 10 number 2s in that building, right? So you have a voice. So there's got to be dialogue between you, principal, and the other assistant principals and other leaders in the building that allow you, that enable you to become an instructional leader if you're not one, right? Particularly if you have staff that you evaluate. How do you justify writing an evaluation based on a one-time observation? How do you justify that? And I can answer my own question. You cannot, right? A one-time visit, which is a compliance visit, so that you can turn in paperwork that you evaluated everybody, but you didn't coach that. Like I just, man, I'm going on a tangent. I just did a keynote here at Virginia Union University with all educators at the school level and the collegiate level. And I told them that expression that people say they have a chip on their shoulder or someone has a chip on their shoulder. I tell them, I got a whole boulder on my shoulder, a whole boulder, because no one figured out in those 4 high schools I attended, no one figured out that kid is actually very smart. I graduated summa cum laude at undergrad school, at the undergrad level. So, but no one figured this kid with all F's, 5 years of high school, all F's, failing everything except PE because he just wasn't into it, but yet goes to college and excels, then that means I already had it. So assistant principal, you can't come at me with the excuse that you're overwhelmed. The culture is not conducive to you being an instructional leader as the prevailing culture. You and your team have to dramatically shift that culture to free you up and to become that instructional leader that the young principal Kafeles in your building need you to be. Enough said. Drop.
Can I jump in just 1 second? Because that was brilliant. I just gotta assistant principals. You know, again, I talked about somebody saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I can remember sitting in that seat. Someone told me, get you a black book, because this isn't your school yet, but get you a black book. Write down everything that you see that you will change when you become principal. So I want to give that same encouragement to assistant principals and aspiring leaders. Get you a book. Write these things down when you reflect about the things that you would change. Think about when you will sit in the seat, right? Write these things down. When I sat in the seat and became a principal, I pulled out my black book. And I put those things that I said, if it were me, this is what I would do. And that's exactly what I started to do. And it was a game changer. So I encourage all aspiring principals, APs that's sitting in the seat, get you a black book and write it down.
Get a black book.
I got one more thing, please, I want to add to
Go
that.
ahead.
Principal Kafele, you know my background. Like,
yes,
I
sir.
was at BP coming up, and so we as leaders, we talk about inquiry-based learning, right? We tell our teachers that, make sure you model that to your students. We should be doing the same. My VPs, my APs, we should be doing the same. If your principal is not giving you the information, ask for it. If you don't know how to do a fire drill because the principal does it, it's not instructional, but it's a necessary component. Ask, try to be a part of it. When you know your department level meetings are, jump into those meetings.
Yeah.
Hear what's going on in the classrooms, hear about the scope and sequence and the alignment.
Yeah.
And then from there, be like, hey, you know, I noticed this. What about this? And embed yourself into these conversations.
Absolutely.
We have to have an active approach. We can't rely on our principals to provide us with the information, because depending on your circumstances, you might have a principal that the moment you walk in that door goes, "Hey, thank God you're here. Here are the keys. I'll be in the office." Then what?
Right.
Even the budgetary process. Hey, what does a budget look like? Can you show me CSI?
Don't get me started.
We need to ask these questions, and we're not sure what they are. Find what these questions are. Speak to colleagues. Go to these conventions and conferences. Hear your podcast, and then go and ask these questions in your district.
I love it. I love it. It's so much more. I ain't saying nothing. I think Dr. Johnson is next. You all sent me 3. We'll just do these 2 so that I could get back, because I still want to do some rapid fire questions that I haven't done in a couple of weeks. But here we go. You said, Dr. Johnson, you said instructional leaders must master the art of balancing empathy with accountability, leading with heart while still moving the needle on results. Powerful stuff. What are you saying? Teach us.
So a lot of times you have to balance leading with your heart and leading with your mind. But the reality is you have to lead with both. So you may go in a classroom and the instruction is not where it needs to be, and you see that kids are suffering from this, right? So you got to hold this teacher accountable. But I would also say empathize with that teacher. Never forget what it was like to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Have that conversation, because we didn't all get it right as a teacher. At least I know I didn't. I'll speak for myself. I didn't always get it right. But to have somebody that can empathize with that particular situation and then circle back with some pedagogy, some specific strategies to utilize within the classroom, it becomes a balancing act. You have to be empathetic, but you also have to hold people accountable. And that's how you can transform your instructional leadership style. And then I also want to say, read some more.
Yeah.
When you are on this journey to sit in the superintendent's seat, you gotta read. We as a people, we don't read enough. But if you really want to transform your game and become a master of your craft, you read everything you possibly can. And that's going to put you in a whole different realm than those that are your colleagues and beside you.
Yeah. Good stuff. Look here, y'all. I'm only doing this because I'm here under contract. So let me go to these rapid fire questions. And I didn't even think I was gonna have time for these. I don't have them in my notes. I have them. I'm literally going from the screen. So just give me a second here. Here we go. So I'm gonna just go in the same sequence I've been going. These are rapid fire. These are 1 sentence or even 1 word or anything in between answers. If you feel yourself inserting a comma, you have gone too long, right? I'll probably say right? So it's real quick. Starting with Dr. Alfonso, do you feel that education is currently on the right path for underserved children?
No.
Do you feel that true equity can occur in America's schools for Black, Brown, and other underserved students?
If we will all take the call, yes.
If Dr. Erick Alfonso's work contributed, does Dr. Let me do that again. Does Dr. Erick Alfonso's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
1000% wholeheartedly.
Now the if word. If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
It would be the same. I would align my faith much sooner to my work.
Why do you continue to do this work?
Because I believe God gives you a gift and he gives you an assignment. And my gift is my assignment.
I love it. What particularly fires you up within the work that you do?
The lives that we change and the people that we service.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Politics, but it's part of the work.
Dr. Finney, what has been your greatest victory in your work thus far?
My greatest victory in the work thus far is just the leadership pipeline and seeing leaders grow.
What was your greatest mistake in your work thus far?
Oh, the greatest mistake in my work thus far is not being reflective when I've made mistakes and just still moving forward.
What has been your greatest challenge in your work thus far?
Greatest challenge is how to continuously elevate student achievement when the setbacks occur.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
Yes.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Yes.
Who inspires you in your work?
My grandparents.
And what book would you recommend to the fam out there this afternoon?
Principal Kafele's Instructional Leadership.
Appreciate the plug. Appreciate the plug. Dr. Johnson, what do you want to accomplish that you have not accomplished yet?
I want to go skydiving.
So do I, but I'm scared.
I am too, but I'm going to do it.
Highly recommend.
I just can't imagine jumping out of an airplane, but I want to do it badly. All right, let's get back. Right. So are you satisfied with where you are professionally right now?
No.
Is there another gear to your leadership, or are you at peak performance right now?
I think there's several more gears, never at peak performance. All can always be better.
What would you say to an AP out there who continues to face closed doors to the principalship?
You already have everything you need. Find you a mentor or a sponsor that will speak your name in places where you are not.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership passion?
Get your fire back. It's okay.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership confidence?
Nothing happens by mistake. You're in the role for a reason. God's got your back.
And finally, and this is for all three of you, one at a time, if Dr. Ericka Johnson was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Resilient.
If Dr. Pierrette Finney was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Purpose.
And if Dr. Erick Alfonso was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Perseverance.
Love it. You know, this was a great session. We probably would have gone at least another 20 minutes, but because of my commitment, we didn't get there. But I really loved everything we did. I'm going to schedule you all to come back on together so that we can do a follow-up, because there's so much more to talk about. But to the fam out there, as you know, if today's session resonated with you, if it was good stuff for you, if it was useful, if you could take it back to your school and infuse it into your leadership, or if it was just good and you liked it, hit us up with those emojis as we do every week. Just hit us up, hit us up, hit us up. You know, you all started already, and that's always a good thing. That's when you know you got fam on the call. So you already started up, and I see them. They keep them coming. I don't bring my regular size back when I'm on the airplane. I never get through TSA, so we keep the little one. So y'all certainly came to the plate. I got my Willie Mays, so you came like Willie Mays, and bam, hit it out the park every time you came to the plate. This was good stuff. So appreciate you hitting us up with those emojis, fam. You know, we don't have a way to verbalize our appreciation, so we just use the emoji. So thank you. Dr. Johnson, how did the folks get in touch with you? How do they book you? How do they follow you? How do they get your book?
Yes. Again, you can go to www.dr.Ericka, ERICKA-Johnson.com. You can also reach out to imaginethatconsulting.org, where we help leaders and leadership teams. The book is on Amazon, or you can get a personalized copy on my website.
There you go. Get that personalized copy, folks. So get that off the website. Dr. Alfonso, same thing.
So email and website are the same. So email is ealfonso@alignconsultantgroup.com. The website is alignconsultantgroup.com. Type my name in any social media platforms. One real quick thing: if you are scared, you're on the right path. Do not let fear stop you. And when fear is getting in the way, Joshua 1:9. That's all. I'll tell all of you, please look it up, Joshua 1:9, embed that into your brain, because this is the work we're meant to do.
I'm gonna read it too. Joshua 1:9. I'm gonna read it. Good stuff, Dr. Finney.
All right, I'm going to read Joshua 1:9 as well, but type my name, Pierrette Peters Finney, on Facebook, or Dr. P. Finney, DrPfinney, on Instagram and X. And I am here to serve and would just love to connect with everyone.
Love it, love it. So let me say to the three of you again live, I appreciate you. Powerful stuff, powerful message, and I know that folks, including myself, because I benefit from every guest that comes on here, and I benefit from the three of you. So I know that folks will benefit from your message. And keep in mind that the bulk of our viewers haven't even seen it yet, because the majority are not the live audience. The majority is the recorded audience. So so a lot of people are yet to see this over the next couple of weeks. So good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Let me throw you, the three of you, backstage. Don't leave me though, so we can talk off camera for a few minutes. Let me just close us out, and then I'll be right there. To the fam out there, appreciate you. Appreciate you joining us for week number 290. So you know what that means. We're 10 sessions away from that big one, man, 300. I remember when I said we're 10 sessions away from 200, and 100, but here we are. We'll be at 300 and I think it's February, right?Maybe January. No, I think it's might be January. I don't know. But anyway, 10 more to go, and we'll be at 300. So I appreciate you all. When you share out, when you repost, when you repeat, retweet, and text and call, and do me a favor, keep doing that. This is not a moneymaker for me. This is something that I just do. I see you, Mahaly. Good. I got Jersey City in the building. Good to see you. Good to see you. I do this because it's just a labor of love. That's all it is. Like the celebrities, they get big YouTube dollars. Little guy like me, like I'm down here somewhere. I get enough to put a little bit of gas in the car. That's what I get. Just enough to fill the tank and get myself a sandwich. Right. That's what I get from YouTube. So this is not about money. This is just a labor of love. That's what this academy is. It's a labor of love. I spend hours on these notes. I spend hours, and just finding guests. I don't know all these people. I know these three I do. But a lot of folks I bring on, I've never met them before, right? I met them, they know my work, they reached out to me, some of them, a lot of them, and different ways. But these are not like people on my speed dial every week. It's folks that I know who are out here in the world getting this work done, and I invite them on, and they don't ask me for money. And if they did ask me for money, I say you're gonna need to find another platform, because I ain't paying nobody nothing to come on here. It's just like when I go on people, I'm on a lot of podcasts, which some of you would know that. I don't ask anybody for money. I've never done that. In fact, I've been offered money and I turned it down. Let's just kick it, right? So I don't, this is like Sheikah is my sister in this work. Let me put her up here. Dr. Sheikah Houston, like she said, it's hard work. That's what it is. And the same thing goes for her, right? And so with that said, let me give you the rundown real quick. Next week, 291. Looking forward to this because the two of the guests, I don't know them, but one of the guests I do, Dr. J.T. Taylor. He's a regular on here. He's fam of the platform. So a lot of you may even know him, but Dr. J.T. Taylor, he's a young man. He will be one of my guests. I'm looking forward to him coming on because he's fam of the academy. And then Dr. Shanessa Fenner and Candace Hyken. I don't know what our topic will be right now, but it'll be something, right? That's part of that work during the week. I'll come up with something. So join us next week for week number 291. But my guy, JT Taylor, I know we're going to have fun with him on here. So join us next week. Every Saturday morning, starting at 10 o'clock, we got Facebook Live. We got Sean Hurt, the turnaround principal, followed by Create and Educate, Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor. Then at 10:55, it's myself. I'm trying to move to 11, but we'll figure it out. And then see, I'm just scared that if I move to 11, folks won't see me at like 10:57, 10:58. They say, "Oh, he must not be coming on this week." That's the hesitation, right? Singularly, that is the hesitation. I'm trying to move us to 11 o'clock so that I can watch all of Sheikah Houston and Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor. It's personal. It's just me, right? So I'm gonna figure it out. AP and then Sunday, PGP podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno. Y'all hear me trying to speak in Spanish, right? It's, you know, the English Marie Moreno, but I'm Madi Moreno, right? I'm trying. Josh, I'm trying, man. Teach me how to roll them R's, man. I can't do it, man. I tried. I'm not even gonna try it live. I was getting ready to try it. I ain't doing it, not live. I'll do that in the mirror later on. Make sure you pick up a copy of where we at? Right here. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? That's one of my books, but y'all know I got 10 on the market. I wrote 14, but 10 on the market. ASCD books. You can go to Amazon, put in my name, put in Baruti Kafele. Don't put principal. Put in Baruti Kafele. Maybe it'll come up with principal. I never tried it before. I'll try it today. And order all of them. Get them all. Thank me later. And then subscribe to the AP New Principals Academy YouTube channel. Visit principalkafele.com for additional resources. And then lastly, man, I was having a discussion. Two gentlemen in the restaurant. Y'all always know I got that post story, man. I was sitting in I went to the restaurant this morning. These two gentlemen about my age, they were sitting down and eating. And we got to talking, like they saw this, so that was the opening. So they like, oh, you got the Birmingham Black Barons. These are old heads from Jacksonville, Florida, Duval County. So we got to talking history and all that. And then it turned out both of them had a stroke. I had the heart attack, so that was a whole other conversation. And then I looked at their plate. I hope they don't see this, man. Nah, maybe they should. I looked at their plate. And I looked at mine. I said I had one egg, a little small portion of potatoes, and turkey sausage, one patty. The waitress trying to give me all this food. I said, no. I didn't ask you for 2 eggs. I said 1 egg, a little scoop of potatoes, and 1 turkey sausage patty. Then I looked at my 2 new friends, man. They had the heaping plate. I'm like, yo, you just told me you had a stroke. Don't you understand? And that's probably why, so I'm saying that to y'all, the fam out there, we gotta take care of ourselves, right? So again, your diet, your exercise. I put in a lot of miles this week, y'all. I put in a lot of miles this week, and I got to connection. There we go. Why am I saying this? Not because of me. I'm saying it to inspire somebody out there that needs to join me on that treadmill tomorrow morning. Matter of fact, you don't have to wait till tomorrow morning. I'm only saying tomorrow morning because I'm here in Virginia. You home. Just go ahead and go outside or go to your gym and get the miles in and thank me later, right? So, and then make sure you're taking care of yourself with these viruses out here. There's a lot. I'm on the plane coming to DC the other 2 nights ago. And the man next to me, I got a first class upgrade. So the man next to me, he coughed one time. I said, you got one more time to cough. So about 2 minutes later, he coughed the second time. I went right here, y'all. I went right in here, y'all. There you go. We went right there, baby. We ain't doing this flight with you coughing like that. We ain't doing that, right? So, and it's a little embarrassing when you put on a mask and the person sitting right there next to you. I know it, but like I gotta weigh it out. Like, what's more important? Keeping him from being embarrassed, or me being sick for the next week, right? Now I ain't catching your mess because I ain't never gonna see you again in life. I ain't catching your mess, so we throw the mask on. So I'm saying that to somebody out there. That's what I mean by virus precautions. Take the precautions so that you can be healthy, and then you can be in your school healthy, leading your folks, as opposed to being home sick. Someone's got to fill in for you. Other than that, y'all have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Now cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I'll see y'all next Saturday at 10:55.